today we are going to start the budget, government budget or the fiscal sector. You may remember at the beginning of this macro lecture series, we said there are several accounts to explain the health of the economy. National income was one of these accounts, indicators, growth rate, per capita income, deflator, then investment, savings ratio. This explains the health of the economy. Now, this is another sector. Second important sector, most important sector is the fiscal sector, budget. Now, these days, lots of discussions are going on about the budget, because usually the Sri Lanka presents its budget on November 6th. Last year we had a problem; we didn't have a budget, but April we approved a vote of account. But after that the budget was approved in April, not in November. November we didn't have a budget last November. Now this year November we are going to have the budget for 2021. Usually budget is presented for the next year. This November 6th, 2020 budget explains the government's expenditure, revenue, expenditure, the direction of the policies for 2021, future period, right? Okay. Now here we are going to discuss the budget is the government's baby. Governments take decision using the budget. How much for the education, how much for the health, how much for the roads, how much for the prisons, right? So how much for this prevention of crimes, sometimes the narcotic related, drug related crimes, right? These are government expenditure. At the same time, government has to decide the revenue also. Taxes, 18% tax or the 35% tax, how to raise taxes, direct or indirect taxes. So therefore, government has a budget, like any company, private sector company, you have the budget, revenue, expenditure, then there can be deficit or surplus. Government also revenue, expenditure, the surplus or deficit, right? But if you take a macro economy, whole economy, there are two sectors, public sector, private sector. Public sector, private sector. Private sector, of course, we know. Private sector take decision using demand and supply, market forces. If there is a high demand for face mask, they start producing face masks. If there is a high demand for hospitals, they start producing hospitals, right? Making hospitals, right? International schools, they do this. These are the private sector decision-making process. Always demand and market forces are the signals for the private sector to take decision. But unlike private sector, government doesn't have that kind of the approach. That approach, you have budget. They have some political, the vision is there. According to the political vision, they think, okay, we are going to generate this much of unemployment, graduate employment, hire this much of 50,000 the graduates for the government services. Like that, then they decide everything using their budget. Economic decisions are made by the budget, taken by using the budget, not using market forces. Okay, let's go to this first. This you're familiar, the diagram. Government. This is four sector model: household, government, firms, and the foreign sector, business sector. Markets, three markets: labor market, financial markets, and goods market. Now we are going to discuss here today the government. How does the government take decision? How does the firms take decision? Firms we have discussed. Demand and supply, cost of production, marginal cost, marginal revenue, short-run cost, long-run cost, the MRMC conditions, everything we discuss about the firms. Now, government still we have not touched. Right. The budget of the government is a planned estimate of the revenue. Now, before that, okay. Now, this government, as I said, the government take decision allocate resources, financial resources, allocate using the budget. But firms allocate resources using market forces, demand and supply force. That is the key difference between resource allocations of the firms and the government. Right? Government budget has to be approved by the parliament. Budget has to be approved by the parliament. Budget proposal for a finance minister present the budget speech. Then the parliament debate. First debate, second presentation, first debate, and at the end they have vote. Then, if that one, government has to win the budget. Should get the majority. If the budget is defeated, that's a problem. So you have to go for the election. Why is that? What is the logic behind this? That's a very strong logic, because according to our constitution, the government, the budget has to be approved by the people. But every person can't go and vote for the budget and against the budget or for the budget. But therefore, we have elected people, our members of parliament. So on behalf of the people, citizens, they vote for the budget. In other words, if the budget is approved by the parliament, that means we approve. Citizens' approval is necessary. If the budget is defeated, citizens are not approving the budget, then therefore government has to go for the new election. That is the logic behind this, right? So the budget has to, according to the constitution, government budget has to be approved by the parliament members, majority of the parliament. Right? Okay. Now let's discuss the budget. What is budget? Budget of the government is a planned estimate of the revenue and of the government expenditure. Planned, future period. Planned, future period. Revenue and the government expenditure for a given year, together with the financing plan on how a deficit is financed or a surplus is utilized. If there is a deficit, government has to finance. That is another requirement. Government in the budget speech, finance minister should show, these are my revenue estimate, these are my expenditure estimate, this is the budget deficit, this how am I going to finance this deficit. If there is a surplus, we never had for last the 50, 70 years, we had surpluses in 1 or 2 years, right? As I can remember, this when there is surplus, what to do with this surplus? Budget surplus. That is, on the overall budget speech, all these things should be there. Government revenue, government expenditure, budget deficit, financing of the budget deficit. These are the key sectors. Right. Now this one is actually 2018. We were the 19. We didn't have a budget. No. That's why I'm using this in budget. Every budget you have a theme, vision, theme of the budget. Now this 2018 budget was presented by the Honorable the Finance Minister at that time, Mangala Samaravira. That was his theme, blue-green budget. The blue-green budget, Enterprise Sri Lanka. This year, we don't know what will be the budget, the theme. So, for example, Saubhagya Dakma could be the vision of the budget, right? So, this present president had this the theme. Now, the blue-green budget. Why it is called the blue? Budget is called blue because Sri Lanka is surrounded by the ocean. Yeah, so we have lots of ocean-based related activities, resources. So therefore, we don't reap all these the potentials, right? Exploit all these potentials, not exploit, get all the benefits of all these resources. It is called blue. It is blue because we plan to integrate the full economic potential of ocean-related activities in formulating the overall growth strategy. Ocean is an asset, resource. Still, we don't get the full benefit of potential benefit of this the oceanic related thing. Green. Green denotes this environmentally friendly, the sustainable development, green banking, greenhouse, right? Everything is now green, right? It is green because we build our economy on an environmentally sustainable development strategy. The enterprise Sri Lanka will reawaken the entrepreneurial spirit coming from our ancient forefathers, enabling Sri Lanka to be a vibrant trading hub and encouraging all Sri Lankans to become co-owners of a country enriched, right? That is their vision. Their vision is there, 2018 budget. Now the budget, now even this year budget, you have the medium-term targets. Now this current budget, coming in November budget is a very challenging budget, should be, because our growth rate is 2020 growth rate definitely be negative. It's going to be negative. Then lots of unemployment. Countries, the foreign and the local debt is rising. Right, the government has lots of challenges, but still they have very good the team. They have a very good team in every the field. So I believe there will be a very strong budget speech this year. See the challenging job, but somehow or other you have to find a solution to this burning problems, issues in the country, right? So when they present the budget, they have targets, 3-year targets. Medium term means not next 3 years target. Now 2018, when the finance minister presented the budget, 2018 budget is for the 2021. 3-year target, medium term target. What was the target? Medium per capita income of $5,000. We couldn't achieve. We achieved only nearly 4,000. Right, our per capita income was $4,000. 4,000. 1 million new job. Still, we are lagging behind that target for 3 years. 3 years. 1 year, the 33,000, like that. The for 3 years. Medium term means 3 years. FDI inflows $5 billion. Still, we have not achieved. Doubling exports of USD to 20 billion. Still, our export is the 10 billion. Still, our export is 10 billion, 10 to 11 billion. Imports 20 billion, right? Current level of exports. And not only that, our exports earnings is coming down. Markets are closed. Export of goods and export of services coming down. No tourism at all. Right? The other sectors also, the world demand is coming down for most of our exports. So therefore, export earnings not 20 billion. Not currently, actual level is 10 billion, 11 billion. So their target was to double. Right? GDP growth rate of 5%, but is current level negative growth rate. That's why I'm saying it is challenging. It is challenging for the next year, this coming budget. But when the finance minister present the budget, think about that. What are their proposals? How are they going to tackle this the export issue? How they are going to tackle this the FDI issue, low FDI, foreign direct investment. What is direct investment and foreign direct? Foreign direct investment means company comes, buy the land, sometimes buy the land, set up the factory, bring all these machineries, hire people, and start the business. For example, Toyota company. When the Toyota company go to a country, particular country, still first thing is they buy their land. There's plot of land, that is their own. Then they start the factory or the service center. Then bring all the infrastructure and the machineries from Japan and set up there. After that, they hire people from that country for various categories, engineers, technicians, and they start. That is called FDI. Other thing is that the general investment, foreigners can buy our shares, foreigners can invest in our treasury bills, foreigners can invest in the treasury bonds issued by the government, right? Portfolio investment, right? Or foreigners can put some money to one of the big companies in the country. Then they can buy some shares of that company. They can issue. Or foreigners can lend some money to the local company. Debt equity, right? Share equity, the debt equity. Debt, they give some money, or they buy some shares. Or foreigners can, this is investment. So the FDI is a direct investment. Then these are the medium-term targets. Inflation is around 6%. The budget deficit 4 to 5%. Still, we don't know. The budget deficit is definitely around 5%, 6%. The budget deficit is not good. It's not good for 1 or 2 years. In the short run, very short run, budget deficit is okay. We'll discuss the reasons, but continuously, forever, if you have maintaining the budget deficit, if you cannot tackle the budget deficit, that will be a problem for the country, right? So these are the targets. What is the strategy? Targets, then the strategy. Policies. What kind of policy to achieve the targets? What is your approach? These are the approach, right? The government, finance minister is presenting in his budget speech. These are some development strategies are there. Import tax on electric cars will be reduced by at least 1 million. Electric car reduced by 1 million, then the sales of electric cars will increase. That is to fulfill the green objective. Because the electric cars are not definitely it's environmentally friendly car. So therefore, when you cut down reduce the taxes, there will be more and more electric cars in the economy, in the country. Environmental friendly policy. See the link? Green policy. Import. Now these are, remember, these are 2018 target, the strategies. Import tax on diesel cars increase. Again, it is environmentally friendly policy to achieve green objective. Import tax on diesel three-wheel will be increased to achieve green objective. 50 electric buses will be introduced to SLTV bus fleet. That is also the green objective to achieve that. Now, none of these have been fulfilled. I think the government couldn't achieve these, implement these policies. Very few, right? Then private bus operators will be incentivized to go electric. Incentives for the use of off-grid solar power, environmentally friendly policy. Waste disposal management initiatives will be continued. Groundwater monitoring will continue to ensure purity and safety of water resources, right? Purity and safety of resources. So these are the development strategies. Remember now, all these strategies are linked to their basic objectives, theme, blue, green, budget, right? Remember, even this year, this November coming budget, definitely there will be a theme, long-term objective, then the medium-term targets. The next 3 years, for example, this is 21, 22, 23. 3 medium-term targets. Government might say, okay, now we want to achieve the per capita income of 5,500 or 6,000. Inflation so much. Budget deficit so much, then the employment so much. Like that, they can express their targets, right? Remember now, these are different approach when compared to the private sector, right? What institutions are covered in the budget, right? All government ministries, departments, statutory row boards, which are directly controlled by the General Treasury. With Treasury, General Treasury, Ministry of Finance, is under the Ministry of Finance. So then it is now under Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa this year. Then the State Ministry is there, the former governor, Mr. Niwat Cabral is a very experienced state minister, because he run the central bank for a few years, maybe 7, 8 years. So therefore, he has lots of experience. So people can trust him, right? People can believe his approach to this budget, right? Who is responsible for the preparation of the budget? Minister of Finance, Treasury, supported by the Minister of Finance. And you cut this. There are repeated Minister of Finance. I think by the Minister of Finance you have to cut. Minister of Finance supported by the General Treasury and the Central Bank, right? You have some repetition is there. Cut this. So Central Bank involves, but main responsible lies with the General Treasury or the Minister of Finance, MOF, Minister of Finance. Why the government budget is so important? The government budget is important because in any economy, the government is the largest single, underline that, largest single income earner and the spending unit. In Sri Lanka, government total revenue amounts to about 14.2% of the gross domestic product. while the expenditure amounts 19.7% of GDP. Right. Okay. Now I am going to use the other the handout. The government budget. You can say the numbers, billions, trillions. No company, but the John Keells, the Brandix, Mass, they don't have such a huge budget, huge revenue values, huge expenditure value. That's why we are going to study this the government as a separate entity, right? We'll go to this the next the table actually. Then you can this one. Now you can see this is the fiscal policy. These are from Central Bank Annual Report 2019, latest annual report, Chapter 6 is about the budget, fiscal policy and the government finance. Chapter 6. This is the first table in that one. Then you can see total revenue of the government budget. This is 18, 19. Let's say the provisional one, 1890899. Earlier one is total revenue and grants. Total revenue 1890899. What is the unit? Rupees million. This is million, right? For example, if you put 3 decimals, 899, 1890 here up to this point, 1890 billion. Rupees 1890 billion. If you come to another the 3 decimals, 1.8 trillion. 1.8 trillion. Understand how to read this table? So you see such a huge value. 1890 billion. Expenditure, you see the expenditure 2301,155 millions, or you can say 2301 billion, or 2.3 trillion. 1.8 trillion, 2.3 trillion. Revenue 1.8 trillion, expenditure nearly double, 2.3 trillion, right? Now you can see again. Now I said the GDP, why do you calculate GDP? To express the percentage, to express this revenue and expenditure as a percentage of GDP. Now you can see total revenue as a percentage of GDP is 12.6%. Then the expenditure as a percentage of revenue is 19.4. 12.6, 19.4. It's a deficit. Now you can see again the budget deficit, I will say. Overall fiscal balance, you can see 1,016,483 million. That means 1,016,016 billion minus indicate the deficit, right? Now you can see why we should study this government as a separate entity, right? In Sri Lanka, total revenue. That's why we said largest single income earner and expending unit. Million, 2.3 trillion, 1.8 trillion. That is the huge, right? Okay. Since the government consumes large percentage of income, its policies have a direct bearing on the economy. In this context, the government budget and its budgetary or fiscal policies have an important place in the economy. Now, fiscal policies. You have to take down this. There are 2 types of economic policies: fiscal policies and the monetary policy. Fiscal policies are proposed and implemented and monitored by the Treasury, by the Minister of Finance, right? Fiscal policy. What are these policies? Then the monetary policies are proposed and implemented by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, right? But monetary policy instruments: money supply, interest rate, standing the repo rate, reverse repo rate, then the various other monetary the credit related policies, right? Then decide the fiscal policies with regard to government expenditure, government revenue, that is taxes. I increase the taxes, decrease the taxes, introduce new taxes, abolish some existing taxes, like that, right? Expenditure, hire more graduates, government expenditure increases, right? Increase the teachers' salaries, increase the government expenditure, or increase the Samruddhi payment, increase government expenditure, or postpone paying get some debt moratorium, ask for debt moratorium, because we have a huge debt stock in the country. So these days, most of the countries in the world ask from donors, ask for debt moratorium, postponing of debt. Okay, we have a problem, we have COVID, we have serious problem. Please do consider postponing for repayment. Give some grace period. Increase your grace period. Some kind of some begging policies. There are some the countries have success. I think one of the countries, I can't remember, Ecuador or one of the countries has got this the concession from donor countries, right? Now Sri Lanka might go for this kind of request. The IMF or the World Bank or other donor countries, they will put forward some risk request. Otherwise, it's very difficult to manage the economy in the context of this COVID and the negative growth rate, right? Okay. Fiscal policies have an important place in the economy. Now, fiscal policies, monetary policies. Monetary policies are proposed and implemented by the central bank. Fiscal policies are proposed and implemented by the treasury. Well, when I am talking, I just want to take down notes. So we don't have separate the discussion, right? So what are the fiscal policies? Taxation, policies with regard to taxes, expenditure, and the financing of the budget deficit, right? Then taxes and expenditure. Fiscal policy we have explained. Fiscal policy is an conscious policy taken by the government to change the level and structure of the revenue expenditure. The government and the method of financing a budget deficit or utilizing a budget surplus. For example, budget deficit financing, this time the government can ask for some concession from the donor countries. Ask for loans, some at the concession rates, concession interest rate. Because we have a serious problem, please do consider some concession interest rate when you grant loans, right? Financing of budget, foreign loans, right? Some donor countries, they might ask for. That is method of financing, right? Fiscal policy measure. Central bank, how do you prepare the government? Treasury compile the budget, but before that they get the help with the help of the central bank. Central bank have a confidential report that is called September 15th report. They send this report to the treasury. That is one aspect. So in that report, they mention the future growth forecast, employment level, then the balance of payment, the trading pattern, money supply, everything is covered in that confidential report. That is the key policy statement, initial policy statement in preparing the budget, right? After that, budget discussions are there now. In recent years, the finance minister get the views from the public, from the various sectors of the economy. In the manufacturing sector, they call for manufacturers or SME sector representatives come and present their views. Private sector bus operators present their views or concessions, problems. Maybe fishing sector, paddy sector, batik sector. Now, SME is a very growing sector. Then the clay. Now they have a separate state minister for the clay sector also. That is also growing rural activity. So they will come and say, okay, these are the problem. Now I saw one of these TV programs. Now these brick makers. Now, big complaint because the imported bricks, imported items are there, imported tiles are there, imported bricks are there. Then the tile makers, they have a problem. So they might ask for import restriction, right? Import restriction, they increase the competition, the protection from the budget, right? So these kind of central bank report plus views coming from the ground level to the Ministry of Finance, Secretary to the Finance, right? Then combining these things, now that is one. At the same time, Treasury get all the information from the institutions coming under their purview. Government departments, statutory boards, they get their revenue and expenditure estimate for the coming year. Now, next year, there are requirements. Now, these are our projects. Now, we need this much of expenditure. These are our revenue because no government institutions spend their own. For example, railway department, if they earn money by selling tickets, they can't use those money. They have to send all these, remit this money to the government treasury, consolidated funds. Consolidated fund through the budget, they can get their expenses, salaries and wages, buying the railway tracks, repairing the railway tracks, then buying these carriages. So that is from the budget. Otherwise, they can't do that. Postal department, their total revenue should be sent to the government consolidated funds. Through that, they get the expenses, right? Okay. Then the two things: central bank report, views coming from the public, various sectors, plus estimate of the government, estimate from institutions, coming under the treasury, right? Then they compile the budget. What is the budget? Future year, this is the revenue, total revenue. These are the expenditure. This is the gap. You have to fill. How are you going to fill the gap? Deficit. Borrowing, right? Based on this report, the General Treasury prepares the budget with budgetary proposals which have to be approved by the cabinet before being presented to the parliament by the Ministry of Finance. After that, parliament adopts the budget by giving authorities to the Minister of Finance, the other relevant spending agencies to incur expenditure for the purpose of the budget out of the consolidated funds, right? Because the budget has to be approved by the parliament. Then after that, government issue regulations, government issue laws, the empower the institutions to use these funds coming from, use the funds from the consolidated funds, this allocation. For example, suppose the education means you get 400 million or the 4,000 million for a particular year, then the government is prepared to give that money to the Minister of Education, various school, depending on the purpose, right? Not all together, but staggered basis they give. Okay, then once they start a new project, they give that. Okay. Railway department or the highways department, railway department, if they want to construct new railway track for that particular project, staggered basis they release funds. Government release the funds. After that, the parliament adopts budget by giving authority to the Ministry of Finance and other relevant spending agencies to incur expenditure for the purpose of the budget. Main types of expenditure, very important. I back and forth, I will go to the relevant tables and come to the right. Two main types: recurrent expenditure and the capital expenditure. Recurrent expenditure. What are the recurrent expenditure and capital expenditure? Right. Recurrent expenditure, you can see in here you have recurrent expenditure 2,301 the billion recurrent 2000 the 2301 billion. Capital expenditure 614 billion. Government investment. Recurrent expenditure is huge: salaries and wages, loan repayment, various government employees pensions, Samurdhi payment. Recurrent expenditure. You can't say recurrent expenditure. You can't say no. Salaries and wages to doctors, engineers. Government can't say, please, we have some small problem here this year. Can you wait another 2 months time? 2 months time, we'll give your salary. No, you can't say no. In the case of domestic or foreign debt, you can't say no to the donors. Right? You have to have a schedule. You have to honor this the payment. You can't say capital expenditure. Of course, you can say no. You cut down capital, but here now the thing is the government doesn't have room, space to cutting down the even capital expenditure. Current expenditure you can't cut. Let's see the breakdown of this recurrent expenditure. 2301 is there in another table. I think I believe you have this table. These are taxes. We are going to refer the recurrent expenditure. You can see 2301 155. What are these expenditure on goods and salaries and wages? 606 billion. Right. Then interest 901 billion. Foreign debt. Transfers 505 billion. What are these transfers? One-sided payments. Samurdhi 44 billion. Pensions 227 billion. Pensions of doctors, engineers, teachers, government employees, pension. See, 227 billion. Then the fertilizer subsidy 34 billion. Other subsidies 102. This is huge. In our budget, these subsidies are the huge amount altogether. The current subsidy level transfers and subsidies 505 billion, of which these are the one. You can see pensions huge, 227. Right? So that is the recurrent expenditure. What are the key items? Salaries and wages, interest payments, and the transfers. Transfers are the key. of this big breakdown of these salaries and wages 894, nearly salaries and wages 606. Then the interest payment 900, huge. 901 is the largest interest on foreign debt or the local debt, right? Then the household, the other current transfers 500. First interest payment. Next expenditure on goods and services 894. Next the transfers 505, right? Transfers. You can see the huge amount. I will go to this, that is expenditure, taxes also. I will say the revenue taxes. What are the types of taxes? I'll come to that level. Income tax, value-added tax, excise taxes, import duties, other taxes, right? Other taxes, right? The import duties, now we have a problem this time. Import duties, no more import duties because the lots of imports are restricted for this year. 98 billion is not coming. Excise taxes might come. Income taxes 427, corporate and the individual taxes 427 billion, right? Okay. Now let's go to the go back to our this chapter. Right. Recurrent and the what is recurrent is the lifespan less than 1 year, monthly. The bi-monthly, right? 2 months time, quarterly, less than 1 year. Capital expenditure is the acquisition of assets. Acquisition of assets. Government acquire assets. When the government build a school, they acquire some fixed assets. When the government build a new prison, they acquire the asset. That is acquisition of assets. Acquisition of assets is called capital expenditure, right? Lifespan more than 1 year. Right. Sources of revenue. Tax, non-tax. Tax, non-tax. Non-tax, I will explain. Non-tax is actually the not that high. Non-tax is the non-tax revenue. Central bank, the revenue or the profits, the transferred to the government. The other SOEs, the state-owned enterprises, they are the revenues and expenditure. Revenues should be transferred to the government, Railway Department, Postal Department. They can't spend their revenue generated by them should be come to the, that's a non-tax revenue. They are non-taxes. Right? Tax revenue in Sri Lanka amounts to about 15% of GDP, while non-tax revenue amounts to about 2% of GDP. Main source of taxation in Sri Lanka is the taxes on goods and services, indirect tax, goods and services. In the case of non-tax revenue, the largest component consists of the profit transferred by the central bank to the government. Right? Central bank. These are the non-tax taxes revenue. Let me see the table. Taxes, total revenue. Non-tax revenue, you can see the total tax revenue. Tax revenue is total revenue 189,899. Taxes, tax revenue 1734. Nearly 1734. If you take the take ratio, what will happen? Ratio 1734 divided by 1891 equals into 100. 92% is the taxes, tax revenue. Of this total revenue, 92% comes from as taxes, only 8% comes as non-tax revenue. See, it's very small amount, 155 billion. Here is the 1,730. Of the tax revenue, what is the excise taxes, other taxes, then you have the income taxes, value-added taxes. These are the taxes, indirect tax. So indirect tax, so income tax, value-added tax, excise tax. These are indirect tax. Import duties. These are indirect tax. Okay, right. Good. Please, when you read this, you have to go through the tables also. Right. Non-tax revenue. Direct taxes, indirect tax. Direct tax, the difference between direct and indirect tax is these are important. Sometimes in the paper they ask this question: what is the direct? Is this direct tax or indirect? Is the tax on chocolate is a direct tax or indirect tax? Right? Tax on vehicle, direct or indirect tax. What is the difference between these two? Direct tax, we don't like tax. People don't like taxes. Taxpayers pay because of this the various systems. Legal system is there to get the people to pay taxes. Otherwise, we don't like to pay taxes, because it is you surrender part of your purchasing power to the government. If you pay 1,000 rupee out of your income to the treasury, your purchasing power will go down by 1,000. If you pay 5,000 rupees, your purchasing power, you could have used this for buying goods and services. Voluntary surrendering of purchasing power is the taxes. Voluntary. Otherwise, you can't survive, right? You can't say no. Direct taxes things. Direct taxes mean tax is a burden we don't like. You cannot transfer this burden to another person. If I am a taxpayer, income taxpayer, I can't say my friend, okay, please pay my tax. No. You have to borne by your own. You cannot transfer tax burden to the another individual. But indirect taxes, you can. So the value-added tax or the traders are taxed, producers are taxed. They pass their burden to by way of increasing higher prices. Tax burden is passed to the customers, right? Direct taxes, tax burden cannot be passed to another person. Direct tax, right? That is you can't shift. Income tax is a direct tax. Wealth tax is a direct tax. Value-added tax is an indirect tax. Import duty is indirect tax, right? That is it. Taxation. Indirect tax is a tax where the taxpayer is in a position to shift the burden of the tax to someone else. Consequently, tax is collected from one person, but the burden is eventually borne here. We discussed that. More important, Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, indirect taxes account for about 78% of tax revenue, while the balance is generated by direct taxes. Now it is around 80%, right? So the tax is indirect taxes. Let's say 80%, now it is 80. 80-20. 80-20. Indirect taxes, 80. Direct taxes, 20. Income tax, corporate tax, your tax on your medical benefits, tax on your uniforms, tax on your free lunch provided by the employee. You can tax those. Monetary value is calculated and then add that to the income. After that, you can impose a tax, right? That is, so 80-20 ratio. Especially most of the developing countries like Sri Lanka, your indirect tax, proportion of indirect tax is higher than the direct tax. But in developed countries, it is other way around. Australia, Singapore, right? USA. It is a direct tax is higher than the indirect tax. Let's say it's about 80-20, 20-80. Ours indirect tax 80, direct 20. There's the indirect 20, direct 80, something like 80-20, 20-80. Wow. So therefore, there's a very important reason. We all are taxpayers, but we don't feel paying taxes. Why is that? We indirectly pay taxes. Direct taxes only 20%, right? Income tax department send you the return for every year, one particular period, with given period, we have to fill this the returns and divulge all your tax liability, calculate the tax liability, and you have to remit that money to the tax department. Direct taxes. So you feel that. Indirect taxes you don't feel. Therefore, you are not worried about this paying taxes. Developed countries, it is not the case. Developed countries, you feel everything is taxed. Everything is taxed. Therefore, they are highly concerned about the government tax policy. They always say, government, their own government. These are our money. You are utilizing or you are wasting our money, taxpayers' money. Don't do this. Don't do that. People are highly concerned about the government activities, the tax policies. So they feel. Good examples are there. For example, one of the countries, as I can remember, long time ago, one of the New Zealand, the minister, the lady minister went to the UK for official trip. After that, she took another flight to Scotland, the private visit. Spent few days with the relatives and came back to the country. Then people are asking, okay, going from here to London is it's okay. It is for official purpose. From who financed the London to Scotland? Then she has to accept. She had to accept that she resigned. So that is the tax policy. People always question, because it's our money, people's money. You can't waste that money, right? Steffi Graf, long time ago, world the badminton the lady the champion, the Steffi Graf. The father was the jailed long time ago, right? It's also our period. No, I'm not quite familiar with this these champions. So why is that? Avoiding paying taxes. Hiding of paying taxes. The father was the tax consultant, tax advisor to the Steffi Graf. So these basketball players, football players, they earn huge sums of money. Football players, they earn the millions, billions of dollars. They are very rich. That is okay. The highly they are specialized skills, right? Therefore, very rare skills is their supply is limited. They are definitely. You can earn money, you can earn that, that is called the rent. They earn rent, right? By selling your skills. Cricketers are paid well, because you sell your skills. You can't say they're too much. No. That is scarce resource. They should be paid, right? That's true. So therefore, but at the same time, you have to pay. Cricketers should pay taxes. So our, in Sri Lankan case, our tax exempted the income level is 3 million rupees annually. If you 3 million, or the annually monthly, if you earn 250,000 rupees per month, less than 250,000 or less than 250,000 rupees, you need not to pay taxes. Annual number is actually 3 million, no? 250 to 12 is, yes, 12 is 3 million. Annually, your income is 3 million. Less than 3 million, you need to pay tax. Or and above, you have to pay taxes at different slabs, levels, right? So therefore, but most of the people, the professionals in Sri Lanka, they have to pay doctors, engineers, consultant, then the cricketers. I don't think football is not that popular like in the world level. Football players are hugely paid, right? Their contracts are millions of dollars, right? So the Steffi Graf is, the father was jailed. Now, what was the point we were discussing? We are paying indirect, we are indirect taxpayers, but in the developed country people, majority of people, they are direct taxpayers. We are indirect taxpayers. So therefore, because we are indirect taxpayers, we are not concerned about our tax liabilities. Since the developed countries, they are direct taxpayers, they are concerned about their taxes, tax liability, the utilization of tax income by the government. That's the thing, right? Okay. The following are the reason for the low percentage of direct tax revenue in Sri Lanka, right? The thing is, now people ask, okay, why? Ours is 20% direct, 80% indirect. So why can't you reverse that? Developed countries, it is other way around. Why can't we increase the direct tax burden and give some relief to the general public by reducing indirect taxes, cutting the taxes on import duties, export duties, taxes on importation of the vehicles, importation of food items, the direct taxes. Why can't we do that? There are reasons. These are the reasons. Low per capita income, with the exempts of the majority of people from income taxes. The low per capita income, not only that, majority of the people are not paying taxes. Following the reason for the low percentage of direct tax revenue, direct tax, 20% tax revenue, 20%. Majority of people, small boutiques, village level boutiques, they don't pay taxes. Think about from here to Mardana, the PETA, how many small boutiques are there? Their taxes is minimal. They don't pay taxes. They don't coming under the tax net, right? So sometimes teachers are not paid taxes, right? Self-employed people are not paying taxes. The post officers, government employees, majority of government employees are not paying, almost all government employees are not paying taxes. They are not in the tax bracket, 3 million bracket, right? That is one of the reasons. They are out of the bracket, they earn money, but they don't pay taxes. They are not supposed to pay taxes. But because the 3 million, not only 3 million case, but they are not legally, they are not defined, right? 3 million is the reason they are not coming under this income threshold level, right? That is one of the reasons. Then low level of money economy, so that a large percentage of income earned in kind, medical benefits, free uniform, free lunch, especially ports, every employee, all 3 meals are provided. Because 3 meals are provided. It's a huge, around the 500 the people are working. More than that in the kitchen and in the ports, right? Huge kitchen is there, right? Every meal, so the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner. There is a 24-hour activity now. The port is a 24-hour activity, so you have to provide. The employee should be provided with, right? Think about talk to one of these. If you have some friends, relatives working in the port, how big their kitchen is, right? So therefore, these are in-kind transfers, in-kind things. Very difficult to value these items, right? But you calculate 500 to 150 rupees per lunch packet, dinner packet, or the breakfast. Then altogether 500. You add that to the income, 500 into 30, 500 into 30 or 20. Then you can add that to the 10,000. 10,000 to your the money income. You can work out like that, right? Medical benefit, if you are getting medical benefit, some institutions you are getting the medical benefit, hospitalization, the purchasing of getting reports, various reports, the purchase of the medicine. You are getting the benefit. If you can with the value of that, you can add that to the, it is a part of your income. You can work out, but the thing is, Sri Lanka, most of the institutions they pay these are in kind, transfers are there, but they don't calculate the value. New proposal, government might introduce the calculating monetary value of these fringe benefits and add that to the income when you estimate your total income. Tax machinery is not capable of covering all the potential tax. That is a tax administration. It's a bit of issue. Sometimes say it is tax department doesn't have enough resources. Tax department is still they are doing things, the tax collection, operating the processing manually. No, nowadays it's gradually our tax department is their efficiency is improving, because now they are slowly they are the online the processing of taxes, right? So the like developed countries, everything is online. You need not to go to the tax department, right? The tax return is coming. Sometimes it's not coming. It is your responsibility to the particular date. Before a particular date, you have to fill. The template is there. As a template, tax department, you go to the relevant tax department website, download, and then you fill all the cases, return before certain date. That's all. After that, if there's a rebate, you can get. If there's the other way around, if you are supposed to pay more tax, again tax department quickly they inform you, they have to settle that. That's all. That kind of efficient mechanism is still not in Sri Lankan case, but it is must. It is a must. That is one of the requirement. Probably the present government might they introduce this kind of IT-based the tax collection processes, because the you know that the president himself is IT biased. So he wants to do things quickly, efficiently, using he wants to use the IT facilities infrastructure to increase the efficiency of government institutions. That is very important, right? That's good. Not only under this president, we have to go for developed countries. You have to this. You have all these the online things. There even the highways. If you are use highway, if you are use your car, you have to stop 2 minutes. Or 1 minute or 2 minutes, sometimes more than that, 10 minutes, a long queue. So but developed countries, you know, the case, you have the electronic card, or just passing the barrier, automatically it's the calculated, everything is calculated from where you are coming, your mileage, and everything is entered, and automatically your liability is coming. They send you the invoice, right? You settle that through the bank, online banking, right? So therefore, that is efficiency improvement. You need not to wait at the queue when if you are really mechanized. But the thing is, we can't do that if everything is online, everything that is argument against that thing. Labor employment, yeah. What happened to our labor unemployment? Unemployment problem is there. You have lots of A-level people, A-level completed people, graduates are there. The youth unemployment is there. That's why we want to hire labor people to these activities rather than mechanizing or introducing IT-based programs, right? But to some extent, you have to do that, right? Right. Okay. But these are some of the reasons why can't we increase the direct taxes. Direct tax revenue in Sri Lanka is much below the potential tax revenue, right? So behind, no, because this you can read. This is not a difficult thing. What would be the ideal tax rate for a country? Ideal tax rate is a tax is a compulsory transfer from the private sector to the government. Compulsory and voluntary. Compulsory, you can't say no taxes. Remember, y equals c plus I plus g, y equals c plus the t plus s, right? If this t is the tax, you can't say no. T, you must pay that, right? Hence, to the extent of the taxes paid, the private sector has to sacrifice resources to cut down. If I pay 5,000 rupees to the government, my purchasing power, my real income will go down by 5,000, right? My nominal income, let's say nominal income is 50,000. If I pay 5,000 to the government, 5,000 minus 5,000 is the 45,000 is my real income, after tax income. There is no real income, after tax income. If I don't pay taxes, I have 50,000. If I pay taxes, if I am a taxpayer, my tax revenue, my after tax income will be 45,000, right? I am poorer than earlier. But the thing is, remember, this tax revenue, government, it is the government responsibility to use this tax money efficiently, maintain roads, maintain the power without any interruption, right? That's why we pay these things. Taxes we pay. For example, if I buy a revenue license for the vehicle, government should use this revenue collected from the revenue licenses so to maintain provide a good the road network, right? That is about. In that case, I am okay. If I pay taxes, that is all right. Then income tax or the revenue taxes, efficient use of this tax money is very important, right? What are the major accounts in the government budget? 2 accounts, current account and the capital account. Current account consists of all the expenditure. Now, before that, I will go to the this table first. You see, current account. This is table 6.1. This is a very important primary table, right? Okay, basic table. Now you can see. Now, if you have the revenue, total revenue, expenditure, tax revenue, non-tax revenue, recurrent expenditure, capital expenditure, right? we discussed breakdown of the recurrent expenditure. We discussed tax revenue, breakdown of the tax revenue. Then the balances. Balance means revenue minus expenditure. Revenue minus the various measures are there. First balance is current account balance. Current account balance is defined as take down total revenue minus recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure. For example, total revenue minus recurrent expenditure 1890 minus 2301. 1890 minus 2301 billions. If you go by billions. Sorry, 1890 minus 2301 411 4110. Yes, this is the one. Current account balance is minus 410. What does that mean? Your total revenue minus recurrent expenditure, not the capital, recurrent expenditure. Government total revenue, difference between total revenue and the recurrent expenditure. It is negative. What does that mean? Recurrent expenditure is higher than the total revenue. The government total revenue is not enough to finance the recurrent expenditure. That is the problem. Current account balance. That is, government doesn't have enough money. Government doesn't have savings. That is negative, minus 410. The minus 410. That is the one of the issues. Our current account government is save. Current account balance is also called, you can take down government savings. That is also called government savings. Current account balance is called government savings negative. Government doesn't save. Total revenue minus recurrent expenditure. What is recurrent expenditure? Salaries and wages, the interest payment, the transfers. So government revenue is not enough to meet those the recurrent expenditure. Recurrent expenditure, you can't say no to the recurrent. You can't say no to the debt repayment or the interest payment, salary payment, transfers. You can't say no. So your total revenue is not enough to meet the finance, the recurrent expenditure. That is a serious issue. That is another overall fiscal balance is the total revenue overall fiscal balance is. Wait a minute. Total revenue and grants minus expenditure and net lending. Total revenue and grants, that is this 1898 minus the 2915. Let me check. 1899, let's say 99 minus billions 2915. 1016. Yes. Overall fiscal balance is, overall budget deficit is 1016, right? So we know that current account balance or the government savings is 410 billion. Overall fiscal balance is 1016 billion, right? Billions, right? So then the primary balance, another balance. Primary balance is defined as revenue minus non-interest bearing the expenditure. Because from this total expenditure, you have to deduct interest component, interest on debt. Then you make adjustment. So gap between this revenue and the adjusted expenditure is the primary balance. It is there. I am not quite sure which. No, first page they have that. You can read these things also, right? Okay. Well, I just don't know. My idea is to use the table, but the analysis is important. Interest payment, declining public investment. Yeah, please read this relevant chapter, right? Okay. Anyway, this definition is the revenue minus, this is primary balance, revenue minus the non-interest bearing expenditure, because from the expenditure you deduct interest component, interest payment, and difference between revenue and the that adjusted one is the primary balance. I think we can calculate that thing. Yeah, numbers should be there. Right. Then we have three, all negative deficits. Revenue is not enough to cover the recurrent expenditure, that is current account balance is negative. Total revenue is not enough to cover the total expenditure, overall fiscal balance is negative, right? That's a budget deficit. Now you have to finance this deficit, financing. That's why this is the sources of financing: foreign financing, domestic financing, monetary borrowing. Ultimately this total should add up to this 1016. That's why there's a financing part here. What are the sources? Foreign, domestic, foreign, domestic, foreign, domestic. You can borrow from foreign countries, borrow from domestic countries, right? Domestic borrowing, these are the bank, non-bank, non-bank borrowings. You can borrow from the central bank, you can borrow from the commercial banks. Non-banking, EPF, ETF borrowings. Then the market borrowings. Market borrowing, you go for the market borrowing, you get a higher loan, very high loan from other countries, donor countries, other countries, and finance at a very high interest rate. That is market borrowings. You go to the market. Then non-market sources. Okay, we'll come to this one again. Please, right. What are the major accounts we discuss? Current and capital. We discuss about the various deficits. Current account balance is also called government savings. Balance represents the extent to which government could generate savings or savings. If there is a surplus, we call it government save. We call that that is government savings. Otherwise, it is the saving. Now here in Sri Lankan case, current account is in deficit. That is government is save. Any surplus in the current account is situation, right? Deficit on the other hand, situation of saving. Deficit on the other. Surplus in the current account important for the government, right? Since the surplus represents government savings, such savings can be utilized by the government to finance its capital expenditure or to reduce the outstanding debt. Right? If there is a surplus in the current account, that means you have excess money. You can pay salaries and wages, interest payment, and the subsidies. Still, you have the excess money. That excess can be used to finance the capital expenditure. That's why the government current account surplus is important. At the moment, unfortunately, we don't have current account surplus. We have a deficit. If there is a surplus, this surplus can be used to finance the capital expenditure, government investment. That's why it is important. So since surplus represents government savings, such savings can be utilized by the government to finance its capital expenditure or to reduce the outstanding debt. Oh, yes. If there is a surplus, think about household. Your household. Suppose there is your revenue minus expenditure. If there is the surplus, there can be surplus or there can be deficit. Let's discuss about this. If there is a surplus, household budget is in surplus. What do you do with this surplus? What do you do? Yes, this surplus, you can just go and invest. Start an FD. Buy some treasury bills. Buy some treasury bonds. Buy some shares. Or start some the construction, extension to your house, another room, the extension. You expand your reading room or some other extension, right? Buy things, new things to the kitchen, right? New fridge, right? New the TV, right? Investment. If there's surplus, number two, the surplus can be invested. If there is one source. If there is surplus, if you have past debt, you can resettle this past debt. Another the option. If there is a surplus, no problem. You can settle the past debt, or you can invest this money if there is surplus. Similar to the same thing can be is applicable to the government the surplus also, budget surplus. If there is surplus, government can settle the past debt. or government can use this surplus, savings, surplus to finance the capital expenditure. That's why they say here, savings can be utilized by the government to finance its capital expenditure or to reduce the outstanding debt. Same as individual household. This is similar to an individual savings, a part of income, and using it for acquisition of an asset, FD, a new building, extension of a car, getting electricity, or the getting some the jewelries, or buying some new TV, which would give him higher earning in the future, or to settle his debt. Jila government current account has been deficit. Current account, remember when you say current account, think about that is government savings, negative, no savings at all. Even if it is in surplus, such surplus have been low 1 or 2%. Like some years you had, right? This indicates that the entirety of the capital expenditure investment, take down, investment has been financed by the government out of resources generated elsewhere, usually by borrowing. Government, these the road projects or the ports projects, airport projects, you don't have your own money, right? You just ask Japan to come and help us to extend this airport expansion program, or you ask China to come and develop our ports, or China to come and develop our road network, because we don't have enough savings finance. That is obviously most of the not only, this is not particularly for Sri Lanka, this is the case for most of the developing countries, poor countries, right? Except the developed countries like Australia, Japan, or the USA, there are huge savings, right? Importance of the capital account. Capital account represents the expenditure on account of the acquisition of fixed assets. Underline that, acquisition of fixed assets means investment. Get the investment, right? Investment, fixed assets by the government whose lifespan is more than 1 year. School building, a school, a highway, a port, airport, new airport, for example. This if government develop Inguragoda airport, domestic airport to the international airport, or the Palale airport using its own money, using this the Palale airport, actually being developed by the funds coming from India, right? Then, but then the ownership coming to the Sri Lanka, no? Acquisition of assets. You finance by borrowing. The project is financed by borrowing. On the one side, your debt increases, right? But at the same time, the ownership of this asset is coming. Palale Airport is now you own the government, owned by the government. So you can generate income. So this kind of international airport is very important. Northern people, Jaffna people, within 40-45 minutes time, you can come to Colombo, right? Or from Ratmalani, you can take another flight to Katnagar, flight to the Jaffna within 45 minutes. I am not quite sure the air travel is around, return ticket is around 15,000. Yes, 15,000. I am not quite sure, right? Because now Air Force has some the internal domestic flights. So once the Palale airport is developed, now they have some daily session now. From Chennai, they have flight service. India is coming. They have daily. I heard that initially they said they are going to operate a daily flight from India to to Palale, right? So Ratmalana then, and the Palale becomes domestic airports, right? Ratmalana, from Ratmalana to the Katnagar to Palale. Right? Oh, Mattala. Mattala is now another international airport. Now foreign flights are coming there. Right? Right. This is capital formation. If the government acquire its assets, capital government leads to higher employment. When the government invests, government acquire new assets. Along with that, you have the new employment. When the government build a new highway, highways mean lots of new activities. What are these activities? From the exit point, entry point, you have employment. At the same time, you have the police forces there. New people are coming. At the same time, now you can see highways, the both sides, Now this they have started this cleaning services, janitorial services are there, right? Cutting grasses. Large number of people are there. Employment, these are employment, right? Then the maintenance, engineers, maintenance, they are a separate section. Police, separate section. Employment, labor employment is huge along with the highway, right? Okay, that is the investment means employment. Investment means employment. Investment means economic growth. Economic growth means employment generation. Especially important in European countries, right? Okay, what is that? Government leads to high employment output rate of resource utilization in the economy, right? This is especially important in European countries since the prospects of capital formation by the private sector in these countries are very gloomy. Yes, European countries, most of the investment projects are done by the government. Whereas in developing countries, we do. But the thing is, we finance those the investment projects by borrowing. When you finance investment projects by borrowing, your debt increases. Future debt level increases. That is the issue. Overall budget deficit. Overall budget, we remember overall budget deficit is the net outcome of both the current account and the capital expenditure. Let's see the budget deficit. Our overall budget deficit is 1016. 1016 billion or 1 trillion. 1 trillion. 1016 the billion. That means let me check if we divide 1016 by the let me check 1016 divided by how. But let me check the in dollar, in terms of dollar billions, how much? 187. So $5 billion. 5 billion. Yes. $5 billion. Our budget deficit is $5 billion. 1016 billion or $5 billion. $5 billion. Then the financing. You can borrow in household financing. How do you, if there is a deficit, what do you do that with? You can just ask your relative living abroad, we are in trouble, please send some money. So you can get money from the foreign financing. Or you can, the domestic financing. Domestically, you can finance, you can get a loan, go to the bank, and you find relatives and get some grants, finance you this. Right? Similarly, to the individual, this government also to finance this the deficit, you can, financing is done only through borrowings, foreign financing, foreign grants and foreign loans. Domestic financing. Domestic financing, you can get money from the banking sector, monetary authority, the central bank, commercial bank, or the market borrowing, non-market borrowing. So these are the two main sources, domestic or foreign, right? Now you can ask, okay, financing, you have to finance. That is must. According to our constitution, the budget speech, there you have to show, the finance minister has to show the ways, means and ways of financing the deficit. Foreign borrowings, domestic borrowings, if it is domestic borrowings, bank borrowings, non-bank borrowing, if it is domestic bank borrowing, central bank borrowing, commercial borrowing, non-bank borrowing, of EPF, ETF borrowing. You have to give a detailed discussion on the financing of the. But the thing is, now each source of revenue financing has a benefit and a cost. Government has a benefit. What is the benefit? You get money to finance your deficit. What does that mean? You can implement your future resource allocation plan without any trouble. When you have money, benefit is there. When you get money from either banks, banking sector, or the non-banking sector, foreign borrowing, you get the money, deficit is financed. In other words, you can allocate resources, relevant resources to the relevant the sector, ministry. But the cost is there. There is a cost. Each source has separate cost in terms of inflation. Another important cost is whether you borrow from domestically or abroad or the foreign countries, your debt level increase. That is the main cost. One day you have to pay the cost. Debt. Right? That is the debt. Let me see. I have some numbers table to show your debt level, Sri Lanka's debt. Central government debt, yes, you can see. Outstanding debt. Asset end year means it's debt stock, not the flow. Outstanding debt is a stock variable, not a flow. Asset end. It's not a flow variable like income and expenditure. So therefore, total domestic debt is you can see total domestic debt. Total government debt is 13.31 billion. 13.31 billion or 13 the trillion, 13 trillion, 13.31543 million. Now that's why people say if you divide this by 21 million, 13.31543 million rupees divided by 21 million, 21 million. No? 21 million is the population. No? Yes. Population is so therefore 620,549, nearly 620,000 rupees, 6 lakhs. 6 lakhs people, each individual indebted 6 lakhs in this country, right? If you divide this by divided this by 100, 188, $3,300, $3,300 every individual lays per capita, per expenditure is every individual lays in debt $3,300, right? That is normal ratio. But the total government debt, domestic debt, 6,629 billion. Then the foreign debt, 6,402 billion, right? You can see what are these the concession loan, non-concession loans, commercial, currency SDR, US dollars, Japanese yen, euro currency wise there. So you have this the total breakdown. Domestic debt, short-term treasury bills and bonds by institutions, bank and non-bank. Short-term, medium-term and the long-term, right? That is the treasury bills and treasury bonds, right? By institutions, bank, non-bank. Bank is sector 2 billion, 2.7 trillion, 3 point non-bank 3.8 trillion, right? Okay, that is huge debt. Rising debt is a big issue. Big issue. Unsustainable level is a big issue, right? That is a issue. Sri Lankan case, that is the issue, right? Yeah. We check in terms of GDP as a percentage of GDP. Let me check. Debt level is not given as a percentage of GDP. That's why I am checking this. No, it is not there. Compare outside and central bank domestic debt as a percentage. Treasury bills, treasury bonds, yes. Yeah, as a percentage of GDP, let me see. 14 billion. Gross national, gross Market price 15 billion, 14 billion, 14 billion, 14 billion. Yes, 14 billion. Our GDP is around 14 billion, 13 billion. 99% of 13 not 3 divided by 14.5. 13 not 3 divided by 14.5 GDP. 13 not 3 divided by the 14.5, 14.5. Sorry, 14.5. 89, 90%. 90%. Total debt is about 90% of our GDP. Right now it is about the more than 100%, more than 100%. 100% of GDP. I will go to this relevant section. Right. Okay. Overall budget deficit. Then we have borrowings. Now we will discuss financing of how can the government finance the budget deficit. Mainly from borrowings from the domestic economy and foreign sources. Foreign borrowings and domestic borrowing. With the government, as he said, government as an entity, as a sector, doesn't work. Lazy. You live on other people's money, either taxes, direct taxes or indirect taxes, corporate taxes, individual taxes, indirect taxes, the non-tax revenue. But the thing is that rendering a great service to the nation, maintaining government services, maintaining infrastructure, maintaining legal law and order, maintaining the national security. There are huge services there, but they don't earn themselves. They get money from taxes, right? Then the like that, if there is a deficit, you don't have any other ways by borrowing. Only by borrowing you can finance the deficit, right? Finance mainly from borrowings from the domestic economy and foreign sources. Borrowing from the domestic sources can be classified. Borrowing from the domestic market, now slightly different from this presentation in the latest government GFS presentation is slightly different. I will go to that one. These are the financing. You can read this afterwards. Financing, this is one here. Total budget deficit, foreign financing 314 billion, domestic financing 702 billion, market borrowings, non-bank, bank borrowing. Monetary authority means central bank borrowing 108 billion, commercial bank borrowing 301 billion. Because the government can get these borrowings. The non-bank sources 59. So these are the, it is first classification, foreign versus domestic. Foreign borrowings, domestic borrowing. Domestic borrowing, market borrowing, non-market borrowing. Market borrowing, bank borrowing, non-bank borrowing. Bank borrowing from the central bank, borrowing from the commercial bank. Like that, is a very nice breakdown is there. You can go through. But at the end, the sum total should be equal to the total budget deficit. 1016, 2019, right? 2019 budget. Now, when the new budget is coming on November 6, you have to think about what is the theme, vision of the budget. What are the medium-term targets? Then how are they going to achieve these targets? What are the policies, different policies? How are they going to achieve the targets, right? Then numbers are important. What is total revenue? What is total expenditure? What is budget deficit? How many trillions, right? Then how are they going to finance the deficit? Now in the newspaper, just after the budget, it's very summary. The tables are presented in the daily FT. You can see budget at a glance. They say revenue, expenditure, financing, then the total debt, they give everything. So at a glance, you can go through. At the same time, the various institutions, chartered institutes, and the other sometimes some banks organize IPS or the traders associations. They organize some seminars to analyze the budget, impact of budget on the Sri Lankan economy, right? That is also, if you have time, you can attend that. Sometimes IBSL might introduce, might implement, have a session on the government budget, right? Okay. Now, total financing, slightly different from this classification, right? Borrowing from now the thing is, borrowing from each sources has its own cost. Benefit is clear, government can finance the budget deficit. Finance the budget deficit, what does that mean? They can implement their budgetary plan. Implementing budgetary plan means what? They have enough money to allocate resources, give finance the different departments and different ministries, right? Benefit is clear. Cost, main cost is the total debt, domestic debt or the foreign debt increases. Think about, if you in household level, if you finance by borrowing, your domestic debt increases. If you have foreign debt, also might increase. The friend might give you, okay, I will give you, send you $1,000, but you have to give me 2 years time, right? That is foreign debt increases. Can borrow from these commercial banks, but domestic debt increases. That is the main cost. But in addition to that, each source has its own cost. For example, if you borrow from the central bank borrowings is highly inflationary compared to commercial bank. It is also the inflation, but the central bank borrowing from the central bank is highly inflationary. Why is that? Central bank can create money. We call central bank money coming under central bank, the purview is called high-powered money, reserve money, base money. 3 names are used: high-powered money, reserve money, base money. So the central bank has the power to control this reserve money, base money. But the thing is, money supply in the economy is reserve money times multiplier. Reserve money times money multiplier. For example, if the reserve money increased by, if the money multiplier is 5, let's say money multiplier is 5, the central bank increased the reserve money by 1 billion. What does that mean? Economy's money supply will increase by 5 billion. Multiply times the increase in reserve money. The central bank increased the reserve money by 10 billion. What will happen? Then the total money stock in the economy, money supply in the economy will increase by 5 into 10, 20 billion. Then that is the problem. Why is that? Money supply increase by multiplied times the increase in the high-powered money or the base money or the reserve money. Why is that? Then we have to ask the question, why money supply is good? No? We need money in the economy because to generate, to finance economic activity, people need this money, right? That people demand this money and use this money to create economic activities, finance the activities. So that's true. But the thing is, demand for money is the supply of money. The money has a separate market. If the money supply increases more than the demand, then what will happen? There will be excess supply of money in the economy. People have more money with them, but the goods and services, their demand is less. Goods and services in the economy is less than demand. Then what will happen? Your prices of these goods and services increases. As long as money supply and the demand for money is equal, we need not to worry about no inflation. Money supply increases, demand increases. Money supply increases, demand increases, same proportion. No problem. Problem is excess supply of money, demand is there. Demand is 1,000, money supply is 1,500. That's the excess supply of 500. That is the problem. When there's excess supply of money, that will be inflationary. Price level in the economy will tend to go up. Inflation is not always good. Sometimes it is bad. Cost of living increases. People's living standard decreases. Investors cannot project future their plans, what to pay, how to pay, how much to pay for their contractors, subcontractors. So planning process will be upset. Then people living standard will go down. When there's inflation, people don't want to save. People will consume. Because we don't know. Prices are rising. Interests are rising. Inflation is there. So therefore, we don't know what will happen next month. Things will be expensive. So we spend today. When there's inflation, current expenses, current consumption increases. Giving up future consumption, you increase current consumption. These are the inflation is not always good. Moderate inflation is good. We need some inflation, but very high inflation is bad. It discourages the investors, encourage consumption, discourage savings, discourage employment generation, so many bad things. Lower people living standards, right? So therefore, the borrowing from central bank will create money supply, right? So borrowing from each of the above categories have their own repercussions on the economy. Borrowing from the external source, let's say central bank borrowing. Borrowing from central bank. Highly inflationary. Another name is expansionary. Take down that. Another name for this one, expansionary. Because such borrowing create high-powered money, leading to a multiple expansion of money supply. That is important. If reserve money, high-powered money increased by 1 billion and money multiplies 5 into 1, money supply increased by 5 billion. If high-powered money increased by 2 billion, money supply will increase by 10 billion. If high-powered money increased by 3 billion, money supply will increase by 15 billion, like that. That is dangerous. Such an increase in money supply over and above the real growth will build up inflationary pressure. In the economy. Right. Then that is bad. Uncontrollable inflation situation, right? Then what will happen? The borrowing from commercial bank. This is also inflation because it leads to an increase in the money supply. But central bank borrowing is very bad. Borrowing from the domestic non-bank private sector, here the government borrows existing savings in the private sector, and therefore there is no new money creation. Hence, it is not expansion. However, undesirable effect would be that if the government utilizes available private savings, crowding out. Government financing of government budget using resources available in the bank borrowings. What will happen when government get more resources available to the private sector will go down. Government get the major share. Resource available to private sector will go down. As a result, private sector investment goes down. Then what will happen? Private sector investment goes down. That is that concept is called the crowding out. Government budget financing may could crowd out the private investment in the economy. Crowd out. Private sector investment will go down. So that is crowding out effect is there. That is also a problem in budget financing, right? Inflation, debt, crowding out effect, Private sector will be discouraged. Right? These are some of the costs. Rate this. Borrowing from the foreign sources. This is also inflation. Revise that. When the donor country give $500,000, $500 million to the central bank, because the government, where the foreign money doesn't come directly to the government, on behalf of the government, central bank get this money, dollars, foreign money, right? Get this money, then 500 million come into the central bank account. As long as this 500 million lying at the central bank account, that will increase our foreign reserves. Reserves will go up by 500 million. That is okay. No issue. Foreign reserves increases, we get 500 million, our debt increases by 500 million. But once the government purchase, central bank government purchase, convert that into the local money. When central bank purchase this money, buy these dollars by giving rupees, it's a book account, then what will happen when the central bank buy rupees? That will be inefficient. Money supply tend to go up because you buy dollars, sell rupees. By giving rupees, buy dollars, giving rupees, then you create inflation. There will be excess supply of money. That's why they say also inflation. Since the government has to acquire local money by selling its foreign exchange holdings, since it is a central bank that releases such local money, the impact on the money supply is same as central bank lending to the government, creating high-powered money. Right, goes. So therefore, it is inflationary. It will increase the local money supply. Then the price level tend to go up. That is the problem. Right? As long as money is kept, dollars without touching, reserves increases, foreign debt increases. But once you purchase, once you convert that into local money, problem. Right? There will be inflationary pressure. Excess supply of money will be there. That will create excess supply of money in the economy. Right? Right. Then you have expansionary. But now read this. Continuous budget deficit is bad. You are living beyond your means, actually living beyond your earnings, revenues. Right? You always want to spend more and more. Even household sector, every year, if you are in deficit, you can't finance indefinitely. You can't borrow from the central foreign countries, foreign friends, foreign relatives. You can borrow from the commercial banks to finance your day-to-day activities. One day, no problem. Right? But the government also has the same problem. But the thing is slightly different from individuals' behavior and the government behavior. Because the government has a special ability. Government can ask for money, loans. One get money from central bank. Government can get money from the commercial bank. Government can get money from EPF and ETF, right? So that ability is there. When government can ask money from central bank create money. Money creation process is there. It is the advantage to the government. But parliamentary has put some cap on. Okay, you can borrow. Cap on government foreign debt, the total the borrowings. Borrowing limits have been imposed by the parliament. The government cannot exceed those things. If you want to exceed, you have to go to the parliament and get the approval. Like that, they have some controls. But sometimes we come very close to this borrowing level. Then government somehow other they ask for the additional expenses, additional allowance, additional leverage space, and increase the borrowing limits. And borrow from central bank. This is the problems, right? Read this now. These are not difficult. Read this, and next week I will start a new. These are not difficult. Now, when you read this, use my the tables also. That is, current numbers are there, central bank numbers. Here they discuss why can't the central bank, the government cannot cut recurrent expenditure. There are problems. So to answer that question, you need to know about the composition of the structure of the recurrent expenditure. What are the key items, right? How to define recurrent expenditure. Right? Capital expenditure, so we don't have enough money, so that's why we borrow from the other countries. We ask transfer some of the assets to other countries, right? Run the ports or the Hambantota ports, or we have transferred those things. It's very difficult to maintain that thing. It's costly. Salaries and wages, other infrastructure costs, maintenance cost is there. So therefore, we ask another person to another country to please do this for us. So you get the higher profit share, to give the lower profit share. That is okay. We are happy with that. Something like that, right? So that is the thing. Okay. Now we'll stop now. Please read this. These are not difficult. The constraints. What are the constraints? All, I think. Yes. Last few slides are descriptive. You read that, but I have discussed all the key points. Government budget next week. Most probably, I might include discuss the new topic, balance of payment, and yes, balance of payment. Yes. So please get today I want to give. These are very descriptive, not that difficult. Probably some of you are familiar with this discussion. If you have done A level or the degree programs, you are familiar with these numbers. You have to be familiar with. In the examination, they don't ask exact number, but the theory behind is important. Is understand, and at the same time, if you want, you read this chapter 6 of Central Bank Annual Report 2019. All these. This is chapter 6 is about the fiscal policy and government finance. Next week we'll have another discussion. Right? Thank you very much. We'll stop now. Hello. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, please? Do ask me. Please ask me. Any questions? Right? Please ask. If you have any question, please ask. Please go through this budget, and next week most probably I might discuss the balance of payment, BOP, and after that we'll go for the ISLM model. That's all. Yes, ISLM model. Then some balance of payment. After that, the development issues. Then the ISLM. Then some past papers. Yes, past papers. This time I'm not quite sure about how are they going to conduct the exams. They have not yet decided. But anyway, they will have some the discussion on the past paper. Right? Okay. Thank you very much.